Hi and welcome to my PlayHouse, and today I'm in the Datacenter. I got a request. I had a viewer that written in the comments that he wanted to make a VMware server and he wanted to make it cheap, and I recommended this one, and he wanted to know how to configure the RAID controller, and he didn't know how to put in the disks on the back of it, inside of it. So I'm gonna take this apart, and he mentioned that he didn't want to use SAS disks because they were too expensive. He wanted to use SATA disks instead, if that was doable. And well, I must admit, I've never tried that in this model of server, so what the hell, I'll try that. He mentioned that he wanted to use a 3 terabyte SATA disk. I think it can only do 2 terabytes, but I'm gonna see if I can find that out. Here is the question that I had, and he also asks how much RAM he's supposed to get in a VMware server. How much RAM do you need? The more RAM you got, the more RAM you're gonna need. And he asked if it's 32, 64 or 128 gigabytes. Yeah, on the server that I'm recommending here, I would go with no more than 48 gigabytes because that's the maximum amount of memory that you can buy for this server without it being ridiculously expensive, and it's not cheap anyway. But let's see the server. The server that I'm gonna test on is right here. I did another video not too long ago where I put some more memory in it, and it has like 14 gigabytes, which is that's enough to run some systems, some VMwares, no problem. It has 2 processors, and that's the x3650, which is a 3 gigahertz processor. It has 2 of those, so it has a total of 8 logical processors. There's no hyper threading on this CPU because it's too old. And this one runs an older version of ESXi, and it's only because I haven't updated it. But I'm gonna power this machine down so that we can play with it. Right click, shut down, blah blah blah. It's not in maintenance mode. Yes. Why? It's okay. And the machine will be powering down. So the server has been powered down. This light diode is blinking, which means that it's not on. I have some hard drives here. I have some these are the really cheap ones, 3 terabytes. I have 3 of those. 2 different brands, Western Digital and 2 Seagates. And I know that it's the cheapest brands ever because I bought them myself. I have a stack of 2 terabyte hard drives up here. I have 10 of those. Let's see. And there are Hitachi drives. I'm not sure yet what I'm gonna do. I want to see if it will recognize a 3 terabyte hard drive. Otherwise, we'll just put in the 2 terabyte hard drives. So I have disconnected the server on the back, and now it slides out. There we are. I have deliberately chosen exactly this server because it's by far the easiest one to film. So we're gonna slide off the cover here and have a look inside. And as always, do pay attention to what information they put on the back of the servers because it's good information. So here is the hard drive bay, and here is the blowers, the fans, and down here beneath this cover is the RAID controller, and you can see the RAID controller battery right here. It's visible there, so I'm gonna take up this and so that we can get to see the RAID controller. On this IBM 3650 Model 1, as I tend to call it, the RAID controller is this little board here, or actually it's the RAID extension thing. The RAID controller is mostly on the main board down here somewhere. Probably this thing has something to do with it. otherwise I'm not sure where they packed it down. There's some Broadcom over here, it's not that. And that's the RSA adapter. It might be under this thing. I'm not sure where they actually have put it, but there's a battery to speed up things. There. Ouch. Let's take that out and just unplug the little thing here so we can see it. The RAID controller works if you bought this server the really cheap way. There is another little memory RAID controller thingy down there. This one is extended. It has some more capabilities than the one that the server comes with originally. If you bought the really expensive model, this one was on it, but if you bought the really cheap one, it wasn't. And the RAID is really this plug. This plug is, let's see if we can get this one. Goes from the motherboard and over here and down into the disk drawers. You can maybe see it down here. It's right there over my finger, and it goes into the disk controller. There's a back panel on the disk controller here. I'll put this back in and we'll take this apart. Okay, I'll plug that in again, and to get down to see the disk thing you have to untighten these blue thingies here like that, and you can unplug this fan thing, put it over there, and now you can very clearly see the cable going directly from where the RAID controller is and in here, which is the back panel of the hard drive base. Can you see that? You can't really see that. Now you can see it. That's the hard drive base here, and that's the back panel, and that plugs in here. And it's fairly similar on all the 3650 models. This is the first one with the 3.5 inches hard drives. It's a fair bit bigger on this server than the other ones. The other one is like this sizes, and there will be more of them, and they need a cable each of them. But if we go into the front and see what's on the other side, I'll just unplug some of the discs. The bay without any discs in it. There's a bit of dirt in there. It's not very good. But, well, so you plug in the discs into this, and it has a pretty normal connections on the discs here. And I think this is both for SAS drives and for SATA drives. But we're gonna find that out. To do that, I don't have any empty ones, I think, so I'll have to make some empty ones. So it's empty, and I'm gonna take some of the drives and exchange them for SATA drives instead. So this is pretty easy. There's like 2 screws on each side of the disk. That's 3 terabyte hard drives that we can try and put in the server and see what happens. Okay, put the server back together. I plugged in power, so now I'm gonna plug in the hard drives. The 3 terabyte Bakuda. Does it say SATA anywhere? It doesn't really, but it's just gonna plug them in and see what's gonna happen. On the 3650 model 1, hard drive 0 is there, and 1 is over here, and 2 is here. So it's gonna be this, this, and this. And I'm just gonna plug the SATA Bakuda ones in first, and as I remember it, these were the cheapest hard drives I could buy at the time that I needed these. Had them laying around for some years. bought them for something completely different, but well, now we can try them on. We're just gonna have a screen on it. I still haven't fixed the keyboard, so I have a pretty normal USB keyboard that I'm gonna plug in and power on the server. And we're gonna see if we can get it to see some hard drives here. Here we can see the two processors, and they're up here, and the BIOS version 1.18. At some point it will give me the option of configuring the RAID. I think it's gonna be Control A right there. That's for the IBM RAID controller configuration utilities, and I had to press Control A.
I'm
I just did that to see what will pop up, recognize the hard drives and how big they will be. It might be complaining about the configuration, that it can't find that was there last. Let's see, enter Control A to enter the configuration. Okay, this looks normal. And it tells me that the configuration has changed since last. Accept. And let's create an array. Let's see what's there. It's not detecting any drives. Let's initialize them. Still no drives. Rescan drives. So it's not seeing any of the hard drives that I've just plugged in. There's light in two of them, and this one is not lighting up at all. So I'm afraid that I'm probably gonna have to call that a failure. Don't see many ways around that. Well, I just went into the drives lists in the configuration utility, drive utility, and it does another scan, and it does see the drives in the bays, and it sees them as 2 terabyte hard drives, 2 terabytes out there. We can format the disk or verify media. What the hell, let's just format it, see what happens. Format disk, sure. And now it's formatting. And that can take from 1 minute to 0 hours. Oh, that's probably gonna take 0 hours. It's a big disk. I gave up on the format, it took forever. Instead I've attached one of these Hitachi drives, the 2 terabyte, and I'm gonna see if it makes any difference. I'm not really sure that this controller can even handle SATA drives. And I've been really lazy. I only wanted to do one until it shows up and I can do something. And through the magic of filming, we just skip to the fun part. So let's go in and see the RAID configuration and initialize drives. And whoo! We have a drive. There's a 2 terabyte drive right here. It can see the Hitachi drive in here. I'll have to unscrew the rest of them and put them in as well. There's no reason to configure this for anything right now until I have the other ones in. So I'm gonna shut it down and put in the other drives. Okay, I now changed all the drives, so now it's 2 terabyte drives that is in these bays. I haven't done anything about the labels, they're wrong. It's not SAS drives anymore. So let's get the screen up and running. Now we're going to see if the drives are there. Initialize drives. There is 6 drives, and that's the amount we were looking for. This number 4 here is different drive. I'm not gonna waste time exchanging that, but it's kind of a shame that they're not alike. So insert, and enter, blah blah blah. Do you really wanna just initializing drive 1 to 6? That means they will be wiped. And the server RAID controller is up here. It's an IBM server RAID 8K controller, and apparently in the papers this controller should not be able to handle SAS drives at all, or SATA drives at all. I'm not totally sure. Okay, that's not it. Create array. We have them here. Select all, and we have these options. We can create a RAID 0, which is striped. That will give the maximum amount of space on the disks, but no safety whatsoever. If just one disk dies, everything is history. Then there's RAID 5. That would give us one disk safety. Yeah, one disk can die and we will still have data, and that disk can be exchanged. 1E, I'm not sure. It's probably a mirror, but what the E stands for, I'm not really sure what that is. RAID 6 is the one that we're gonna try, because that was the one that I recommended in the comments. And then there's a RAID 10, which is striped and mirrored, or a stripe of mirrors. But let's just take RAID 6, array label, just call it RAID 6. RAID 6, and that will give us 7.2 terabytes. Yes. Done. And it's creating the array. And it says that the array will be available immediately, but the array performance will be, it's not so good to start with because it's doing a lot of things in the background. Press any key to continue. Okay. So now we are done with that. And it wants to reboot the system. Cool. And just for testing purposes, I'm gonna try and install VMware 5.5. I'm mounting that. See if it got it, or if I have to reboot before it can. Yeah, it's all good. Install. And I'll run that installation. So this was installed, no problem whatsoever. So I'm gonna go into the VMware application here, and I'm gonna add the server again. Connect, yes. And it's gonna be complaining that not this things are not as they used to be. That, and it has a notification, something, and yes, and it's gonna find the new server, and we're gonna try, and yeah, sure, and it's gonna connect to the server with hard drives right there. Cool. I don't know if I can transfer. I have a test server like this one. See if I can transfer. I'm gonna move it over there and do some testing. Okay, I just needed to turn off the machine before I could move it, and right now it's copying the machine down here. It's reached 30%, and this usually takes a while. I don't know why, but sometimes this is really slow. It's taking absolutely forever to transfer that, so I just did some cleaning up, and I'm gonna go back to my apartment and the remote management adapter. Cool thing that it has one. So here we are, completely different place, but on a remote desktop to the server, at least the VMware, and here's the machine, and it has now been moved over to the new server with the new storage array thingy that I configured right there. So we're gonna power on this server. Power on, dude. And let's have a look at it. It should be coming up right here. Yep, it's a Windows 7, and I'm afraid that I shut it out a little, not very nicely, so it's complaining about that. And now it's booting. It's gonna be very interesting to see how these hard drives perform. It did say that the performance was not gonna be so good to start with. I don't know how long it thinks it's gonna take for the performance to be good or all good, but I'm gonna run the test right now and see how the disks perform. This kind of takes a while when you're waiting to run a test. Let's try this one first. It's not usually very good, but it does give an indication of your device is ready to use. Oh, thank you. And we're just gonna run it on the virtual drive that it's on. Let's see what happens. Oh, that is not very fast. Well, that really wasn't impressive at all. 10.6 megabytes per second. And a burst rate of 7.5 megabytes per second. Well, okay. I think the hard drives are still in building mode or something like that. Might have to do the test again later, maybe in a day's time or so. Let's see what performance we get then. Microsoft has done some changes. Restart now. Okay, we'll do that. I booted the computer and I ran the test again. Similar result. A little bit better maybe. It seems that it's more like the 10 megabytes per second and less further down, but still really bad. I ran the other test as well, and that came up at about really funny that hi. So it has been a couple of days since I started this video, and I'll see if the disks has quiet down now and if we have a better performance. And I'll just start the test here, and yep, this does look a lot better than the first results we got. So apparently the bad results that we got was because the disks were still formatting or partitionating or stuff like that. I'm gonna run this test and be right back. So I did both tests, and as you can see, this performed a lot better than before. I actually did find that a mistake has sneaked in. Here are the old results. I just took a print screen of that, and if you can see up here, there is like F: up here with the mouse, and I have forgotten to change the drive when I did that. So these numbers are totally off because they were really testing some hard drives over the network connection on another server. So that was kind of a bummer. So ignore those. But yeah, we can just
I'd put it over here so you can only see the good numbers. And it's very clear to see that this one is a lot worse than this one. These numbers are a lot better. We are over about 140 megabytes per second for minimum transfer and an average of 137 megabytes per second. It's reasonable for SATA drives like that. It's pretty cool, and in this test it also shows that the numbers are pretty good. The lower one is not that great, but well, it takes longer when you transfer small packages. The controller was not able to take 3 gigabyte drives, but I've been searching the internet and found a blog where people was talking about how to do that on this model of server. And what they recommended was installing this RAID controller, and it's pretty recognizable RAID controller because it's used in the Model 3, and it should be possible to plug this RAID controller in the Model 1 and be able to use drives up to at least 4 terabytes each, and the backplane should work as well. So that's an option, and it's the IBM RAID controller 5015. I think this concludes this test.
Hope you enjoyed this video. Do subscribe so that you can see me again. Give the video a thumbs up if you got something out of it, please. And have a really nice day. Bye bye.